Today is day 2 of our percentage unit, and today we're going to be solving percentages using word problems. So today we will be learning how to solve word problems involving percentages. We will use proportions and the phrase is over of to help us. If you simply remember is over of, that really helps students solve these problems. So we'll be solving situations like, what percent of 100 is 25? Now you can see the of and the is in the sentence, okay? Whatever number's next to is always on top of the fraction. Whatever number's next to of is always on the bottom. So I could write this a little easier to understand as is divided by of. So if I'm going to solve this problem, what percent of 100 is 25? The what percent part of the phrase means what number out of 100. Because remember, the word percent means out of 100. So the what number part is what I'm looking for. That's my x. So what number out of 100? And then I set that equal to, and now the number near the of was 100, and the number near the is was 25. So it's is over of, so it's 25 out of 100. So to solve a proportion, and this one's very simple, we cross multiply. So 100 times 25 is equal to x times 100. So you multiply these two together, that's 2,500. And then we divide both sides by 100. And the answer is 25. And that makes sense because 25 over 100 would be the same as 25 over 100. But it's not always going to be that easy. Let's try another example. What percent of 250 is 78? Well, what percent translates to x out of 100? Is 78, and it's always is over of. So 78 on top, 250 on the bottom. And now we're going to multiply the diagonals. So 78 times 100 should equal x times 250. And we usually write the 250 first. So 78 times 100 is 7,800. You can use your calculator for that. And then we divide both sides by 250. So 7,800 divided by 250 equals 31.2. Another example of this method, I have what percent, so that's x over 100, and then of 76 is 27, so it's is over of. And then again, we simply cross multiply. 27 times 100 equals x times 76. So 27 times 100 is 2,700. Divide both sides by 76. So it's 2,700 divided by 76, 35.5. You can round these answers to the 10th place, so 1 decimal point. Now, these problems, these sentences can be written in different ways. So we need to translate it into a proportion and then solve. So this one says 48% of 78 is what number? Well, 48% means 48 out of 100. So I turn 48% into a fraction and set it equal to, now the is what number? And remember, when it's what number, that's x. That's what we're looking for. So the is goes on top, the of goes on the bottom. And the of is 78 because it's next to the of. So now I cross multiply. 76 times 48 equals 100 times x. So 76 times 48 is 36/48. And then I divide both sides by 100. And my answer is 36.48. Another example, 78% again, that turns into 78 out of 100. And then I have is what number? That's x on top, because it's always is over of, and the of is 240. So it's 240 times 78 equals 100 times x. So using your calculator to do 240 times 78, you get 18,720 equals 100x. Divide both sides by 100. It's 187.2. And on these, it is fine to round to the tenths place. So 36.48 would actually become 36.5. That's how you should enter your answers into Moodle. 1 decimal place. Okay, here's another one. 45%, so it's out of 100, equals, now this time the is a number, 17, and the of is the x. So 100 times 17 equals 45 times x. Now 100 times 17 is 1700. And then you'll divide both sides by 45. So 1700 divided by 45 gives us 37.77. And then what I'd like you to do for Moodle is round this to 37.8. So we're always going to round to 1 decimal place, or 1 number after the decimal. Here's another one, 78%. So I write 78 out of 100. And then the is 120. That's the top of the fraction, and the of is the x. So it's 100 times 120 equals 78 times x. Multiply these two together. It's 12,000 equals 78x. Divide by 78 on both sides. I get 12,000 divided by 78. That's 153.84. And this rounds to 153.8 for Moodle purposes. Another way this could be worded is what is 39% of 78? So 39%, I'm going to change to 39 out of 100. The what is next to is, so that's on top of the fraction because it's is over of. And the of is 78, that goes on the bottom. So it'll be 39 times 78, this diagonal, equals 100 times x, that diagonal. So 39 times 78 is 3,042. And then I would divide both sides by 100. So 3042 divided by 100 is 30.42. And we would write in Moodle 30.4. So it always rounds to the first decimal place. Last example, 48 is 67% of what number? Remember, the what becomes the x. 67% gets written as 67 out of 100. 48 is the is, x is the of. So 100 times 48 equals 67 times x. So 100 times 48 is 4,800. Divide both sides by 67 to solve for x. $71.64, and we'll round that to 71.6. So a couple key things to remember. If they give you a percent, you change it into a fraction, and then just read the sentence carefully. Is, whatever the number is by the is always on the top of a fraction, and whatever number is by of is always on the bottom. Anytime they say what number, that's talking about x. That's what we want to find.